magazine of the screen is presented as a public service by the Charlotte Observer, foremost newspaper of the Carolinas. President Eisenhower polishes his golf game as, tanned and rested, he nears the end of a work-and-play vacation in Florida. At press headquarters, facing reporters for the first time since August, the president has an encouraging report on his health.
First of all, the doctor tells me that what he calls my vital capacity is very much improved. I don't know the meaning of the term, and so there's no use asking me about it. But I feel very much better, stronger, and much more able to get about.
Later the same day, the Columbine III brings the president back to windy and wintry Washington. 15 weeks after his heart attack, a smiling Dwight Eisenhower takes up the full duties of the presidency. The future of France rests in the hands of the voters as 22 million persons register for the most crucial election in recent French history. Spearheading a conservative right-of-center coalition is outgoing Premier Edgar Faure. Leading the left-of-center alignment is Faure's arch-rival, former Premier Mendes France. Also making headlines is a noisy political newcomer directing an anti-tax, semi-fascist party, shouting, shirt-sleeved Pierre Poujade. In northern France, voters defy cold and blustery weather to cast their ballots, choosing a National Assembly to follow those that have toppled 21 governments in 10 years. President Coty votes in Paris. On the Riviera, sunny skies swell the record turnout. The Faure-Mendes France fight has lifted communist hopes. At 7 o'clock, election officials close the polls and start counting the votes. Returns show unexpected gains for the communists and Poujadists. A tangle of political chaos cripples France's search for a strong, stable government. Torrential rains, triggered by moist tropical air, lash northern California, Oregon, and western Nevada. 50,000 persons are driven from their homes as swollen streams roar down from the mountains, swallowing up rich fruit-growing country. Along a 500-mile path, flood fighters work to keep open escape routes as the angry waters turn streets into canals. Damage exceeds $200 million. A mirror of water reflects the heavens that unleash the drenching, destructive nightmare. The worst disaster in the far west since the great San Francisco earthquake of 1906. Led by high priests and colorful trumpeters, more than 500,000 Hindus stream into the holy city of Kurukshetra for the Festival of the Eclipse. Many of the pilgrims chant ancient hymns dedicated to the sun god, one of the most popular and sacred objects of Hindu veneration. As the moon crosses the sun, the pilgrims enter the holy waters, believing that one dip during the eclipse is worth 1,000 prayers or offerings. In their lifelong search for self-purification, India's Hindus cleanse themselves in the holy waters at Kurukshetra. A giant trailer van is driven into position for an amazing demonstration of the lifting power of the new Air Force XH-17, biggest helicopter in the world. The truck pulls away after the van is secured, and effortlessly, the giant craft raises its 10-ton load. This copter's jet-propelled blades measure 130 feet from tip to tip. With a potential lift of more than 20,000 pounds, the XH-17 may be the aerial truck of the future. At New York's International Airport, brilliant streaks of light guide airliners to safe landings in bad weather. The lights are the first ground objects a pilot sees as he makes an instrument approach through fog and murk. Each lamp produces a split-second flash of more than 30 million candle power, synchronized to point the way to the landing runway some 3,000 feet from the first beacon. Installed where an air disaster occurred, the new lights can be seen sooner, showing the way to a safe port for travelers of the sky. In the frozen Arctic, America's northern frontier, speedy Scorpion jet interceptors are on round-the-clock alert against a surprise air attack. Air Force pilots patrol 600 miles of snow and sky an hour, a distance that Peary and other Arctic explorers sometimes fought for a month to cross. Flying over scenes of rugged, silent beauty, the jets are our country's aerial sentinels from Alaska to the snowy wastes of Greenland. The position of each defense plane is plotted in Arctic combat operations centers. 9 miles above the Earth, the Scorpions sweep to the attack. Their bird-like grace hides the deadly menace of 104 rockets, powerful enough to destroy any enemy in the American sky.
Vienna is a city of culture. Its university, its art museum, its architecture make up its soul. But the heartbeat of Vienna is music. The cobblestone streets in the old section are much the same as when the capital of Austria first became the city of composers. The house where Beethoven worked recalls the man whose immortal music triumphed over affliction, for Ludwig van Beethoven was deaf. In a quiet church on this quiet street, another great Viennese composer, Franz Schubert, was baptized. As a poverty-stricken youth, he played his melodies on the church organ. The cultured spirit of Vienna still beckons the talented a century and a half after Schubert worked in this house. His room, his possessions are the background for the unfinished symphony by Franz Peter Schubert. Schubert's will reflects his lifelong poverty. He had little to leave but his clothes and his music. Vienna's men of music are enshrined together in this tranquil cemetery. Wolfgang Mozart, one of the greatest composers. Schubert, who effortlessly wrote brilliant compositions and died at 31. Beethoven, whose powerful music opened the era of orchestral sweep and majesty. Franz von Suppe, who conducted at Vienna's theaters and wrote more than 200 operatic pieces. Johannes Brahms, famous as both pianist and composer. His music reflects his kindly nature and nobility of spirit. Johann Strauss Jr., who wrote Vienna's gay heartbeat into his famous waltz, The Beautiful Blue Danube. For tired city workers who love Vienna's nearby forest, Strauss composed the beautiful Tales of the Vienna Woods. Vienna still lives to the music of Strauss, the Waltz King. Youngsters still play in the Prater, the amusement park where Strauss himself conducted, defying his composer father who opposed his musical career. His melodies have become Vienna's anthems, among them the lilting Emperor Waltz. Melody seems part of the air here in the city of composers. Theirs has been an honored place for 6 centuries, and so it will remain as long as music is the heartbeat of Vienna.
With the clouds as a canvas, birds by the thousands paint their patterns in the sky. Wheeling out of the heavens, they come to call on naturalist Alex Griffiths, whose bird sanctuary is unique in Australia and probably the world. Twice each day, the birds desert the trees to feed on a special diet, devised by Mr. Griffiths, of bread mixed with honey and other ingredients. With all these beaks to feed, he happily enlists volunteer helpers, and more than 250,000 visitors of all ages come each year to learn at close range about the wild but friendly birds. At his sanctuary without cages, bird lover Alex Griffiths studies his feathered friends. The skies over Rome are dark too, with flocks in flight. These are starlings, a remarkable bird that can be taught to speak, mimic sounds, and even whistle tunes. Native to Europe, their numbers have been rapidly increasing in America. They travel in huge flocks that sometimes reach 100,000 and more. Dancing on air, they sweep across the sky in graceful and rhythmic movements. Now watch the hawk at right of screen, diving into the flock and splitting it in two. But the starlings resume their formation in a twinkling. The hawk strikes a second time. The birds part and then, as if magnetized, blend together again. The starlings, in sight and sound, weave their own strange tapestry in the heavens over Rome. The giant aircraft carrier Forrestal, with a specially angled deck for simultaneous launchings and landings, takes on her first planes during air trials off the Virginia coast. Pilot Harnish is congratulated by Captain Johnson, skipper of the world's biggest warship. A second single-seater Fury jet fighter sets down on the flat top, and pilot Werner also gets a handshake. Thanks to powerful steam-operated catapults, only a fraction of the Forrestal's quarter-mile-long deck is necessary for takeoffs. The $200 million Forrestal, mightiest carrier ever built, spearheads America's defenses on and over the sea. Off the California coast, Navy frogmen sharpen their underwater punch. Dragging demolition bags, a 2-man team swims into position to blast a mythical enemy. After the charges have been set, the frogmen are retrieved by the pickup boats. Mission accomplished. At Portsmouth, New Hampshire, crewmen board the USS Albacore, fastest submarine ever built. Radically different in design, the underwater craft carries 49 officers and men. 2/3 the length of a football field, she uses airplane-type controls in steering, diving, and surfacing. Faster than many ocean liners, the secret of the Albacore's speed lies in her revolutionary blimp-like shape, which reduces water friction to a minimum. The first submarine designed to operate underwater most of the time, her rounded hull gives best performance in the depths. She is also the most maneuverable sub ever built, fast enough to outrace destroyers, and she can dive and rise with porpoise-like swiftness. Air-conditioned living quarters are the height of luxury for a submarine, and new designs don't change sailors' appetites. The sensitive trigger-like controls enable her operators to direct the 1,200-ton underwater craft with the sureness of a fighter pilot. Already plans are being made for an atomic submarine modeled after the Albacore, forerunner of tomorrow's underseas Navy.